Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today's episode, we're going to cover how to make my luxury hair and body bar soap. This is a handmade soap. It has several oils in it that are good for your hair and for nourishing the skin. So, I'm going to share that with you. First, I'm going to share you the oils that we're going to use in it, and then we're going to start the video and show you how it's done. Alright, so the oils we're going to use in here are coconut oil, olive oil, castor oil, canola oil, palm oil, red palm oil, also referred to as red palm butter, shea butter, neem seed oil, cocoa butter, and almond oil, sweet almond oil. So let's get into the first part of the video where we're going to take all of our hard oils and melt them first.
Oh, there it is. I was looking for the red.
I might talk a little bit. So what I'm doing right now is I'm getting my shea butter. You want to make sure that you're on a level surface and that you tare it with your container on it. Look at that. And then I'm putting all my hard oils into this pan because I'm going to have to melt my hard oils before I add my soft oils.
How many ounces in that?
There's 1 ounce of that.
What's that?
It's the shea butter.
Oh, the shea butter.
And then I'm going to add 1 ounce of cocoa butter. This one's a little harder, so we got to use something to cut it off with. Now we're going to add our coconut oil, and for that we need 7.8 ounces. See, 7.8 ounces. Then I need to add my palm oil to that at 3.5 ounces. And that is this big old bag of, it's going to come out like poop. What did I say? 3 point what?
I forgot.
3.5.
3.5.
Okay, so I went a little over there. Ain't gonna go back in the bag, so. Once we start getting into some of the softer butters, you're probably going to want to use a spatula for this. We got that. Alright, that's all of our hard oils. Now we're going to take this. Oh, wait. It's not all our hard oil. We got to add our red palm oil. We need 8 ounces of this. This is definitely a smooth butter. Kind of looks like pumpkins, don't it? Get my other one. Hold on 1 second. Keep recording.
Zozo dude battles moths. We battle fruit flies.
Yeah. Now, when you're using palm oil, especially if you're using palm kernel oil, it is naturally, as you can see, very orange. So your bar of soap will come out orange.
Tannish orange, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to turn that on to a medium-low heat. And we're going to take probably about 10-15 minutes to get that all into a liquid state, and then we'll come back. Right. All right, so as you see there, we added all of our hard oils or butters into the pan, and at the end there I said palm when you, especially palm kernel oil, what I meant was especially red palm kernel oil, because they're both palm kernel oils. The difference is the red palm kernel oil still has all the nutrients and minerals and vitamins in it. They haven't been processed out of it, whereas the whiter, well, it's kind of a creamy color palm oil is been more processed. So when you're using the red palm oil, you're always going to get a slight pinkish orange tint to your bar of soap. You'll see when the soap is finished curing what it looks like. It actually doesn't look as dark as it does in the video right now. When it actually fully cures, it lightens up. So that's what I meant about that. But then, like I said, you take all your ingredients and you're going to melt them together now. Alright, so let's continue to the next part of the video.
As you can see, all of our hard oils have melted. Are you going to show them?
Oh, I'm sorry. We had to start over. I was being a blonde.
So we turned off the oven after we got them melted. You don't want to cook the oils. You're not trying to cook in them. You just want to get it hot enough to melt it, somewhere around 110 degrees or so. If you have a thermometer like we do, we have a nice little digital one. You can use that for it, but I'm not going to test my oil temperatures until I get my cold oils in there, because you want to aim for right around 110 degrees total. Now I'm going to add some olive oil. For that, we need 5.8 ounces. And of course, we always overshoot a little bit. Whatever you want to do with your extra oil that you don't need, is up to you.
What I mean by what you want to do with your extra oil isn't the oil that you're not using in the soap process. I'm talking about when you're filling your oils, a lot of times you get a little bit more than you wanted to, and you got to pull a little bit back out. Usually for me, it's less than a teaspoon, so I just scoop it out and wind up throwing it in the sink. If you want to put it back into your bottle, that's good too.
And we're starting with a fresh thing because we don't want to have too much oils of one thing, so we always try to keep it so we get it close to perfect measurement.
And then what I'm referring to there is my little scale only does up to 10 ounces at each measurement. If I go over 10 ounces, it tells me it's over, and it just tells me it's overloaded. It can't give me a reading. So I use individual containers so that I get an accurate reading. If you have a scale that does ounces and grams, and it's able to go high enough to carry all your oils, you're more than welcome to use a single bowl to do this. Like I said, because my scale is smaller, it only does 10 ounces at a time, break it up so that I get a better reading and I can get all my oils in there properly.
Now we're going to add 5.6 ounces of castor oil. Oh, look at that. I just might be perfect out of there. Thought I was going to have to open the new one. There we go. Now we're going to add 3.5 ounces of canola oil. And we're going to add probably should keep that over there. We're going to add 4 ounces of sweet almond oil. Okay, and as Missy sits here and stirs this for a minute, I'm going to get set up to show you how to do the lye. Wait, we also need neem oil. I forgot we need an ounce of that. And an ounce of the neem oil. Now the reason we're using some of these oils is because they're good for the scalp and for the hair growth, because like Zoso said and I agreed with, I want to keep what hair I have left. And as you can see, neem oil is a dark oil, so again it's going to darken up your soap. Okay, go ahead and stir that for me, baby. This up a little bit. Okay.
As you can see there, all those oils, when they're in there, they come out to like a nice coffee red, I guess we'd call it. Dark tea red. It comes out a very dark reddish orange color. And once that cures out into the final soap, it will lighten up quite a bit. So that's not a good indication of what the color of the soap is going to be. And a lot of people are going to add dye to their soap somewhere in the process. I don't want to add any artificial dyes to my soap. I'd rather just have it natural, the color that it comes out. So if I have something that adds a color to it naturally, it'll wind up that color. But otherwise, it winds up like a creamy-ish, pinkish red color. But it's really a mild coloring to it. You'll see when I actually get to the point of showing what the cured soap looks like. So next we're going to move into making the lye, and I would highly recommend that you don't do as I do, but you do as I say, which is wear protective gear. Wear some rubber gloves, wear something, at least some kind of protection between you and the lye, because if you spill it and get it on you, it's going to burn you. It's going to have a chemical burn, and it's going to be a pretty harsh burn, and it's going to happen pretty quickly. So it's not something you really want to melt with or mess with unless you're wearing protection. I've been doing stuff with lye and soap making and stuff for like at least 30 years now, so I'm very comfortable with it. I haven't used protection since the beginning of doing it, and I only have injured myself once in the very beginning with lye, and it was a very small, minor incident with it. But if you especially have no experience with this stuff, take all the safety precautions, even wear goggles, because lye, when you mix it with water, causes a reaction. It can get very caustic and dangerous. So do as I say, not as I do. Wear protective gear so that you don't hurt yourself. You know, I don't. I would really feel bad if somebody followed my ingredients and my directions, didn't wear something protective because I don't, and got injured. So please do wear those things. All right, now we're going to move on to that section where we're going to talk about the lye and basically how it's mixed and stuff, and we'll continue with that.
All right, so now we're going to do the lye. We got 5.63 ounces of lye that we're going to add to, totaling by the end 15.6 ounces of water. I took 8 ounces of water and put it in this one, and the remaining 7.6 into that one. I'm going to mix the lye into this one after I fill this with a water bath, cold water bath, and I'm going to do it by the window. So I'm going to have Missy go ahead and shut off now, and we're going to go to the window. We'll start there. Okay, so for this process, you want to either use only plastic or glass to mix with the lye, because the lye can react with other things, especially metals. I have an ice pack in here to try and help keep the water cooler, because as we add the lye to the water, it's going to heat up really quick. It's going to cause some noxious fumes. And that's why we're doing it in front of the fan. And actually, I'm going to crank that up to high because I don't like breathing it. You should really do this outside. It's currently raining outside, and we live in an apartment complex, so that's not easy. So there's my lye, and I just slowly stir it in. And I'm going to keep stirring it until it fully dissolves.
Like I said, this stuff is pretty nasty, and although I had a hard time saying it, it does admit when you mix the water and lye together, a very noxious gas will come off of it. And if you are leaning over it in an unventilated area and get a good whiff of it, it could cause you some serious problems. So again, make sure you're in a very well ventilated area. And like I said, if you haven't worked with chemicals before and you don't know what you're doing, I highly recommend wearing rubber gloves and protective gear.
Now this does take generally a little while to get it to dissolve. You'll know it's dissolved when your liquid starts going back to clear. So while I sit here and stir this for a few minutes, we'll pause it and come back when it's done. As you can see, my liquid is less cloudy now. It's clearing up. It may take a little while before it fully clears up, but it's going to take a little while for it to cool down anyway, because that liquid in there is very hot. Also, as you notice, I am not wearing gloves, although I should be. I should actually be wearing a protective rubber apron. Anytime you are messing with lye, if you're not familiar with it, it is a very caustic, it will eat right through your skin, no problem. So anytime you're working with it, you probably should wear rubber gloves. Me, I'm a rebel, don't tell me I gotta do something, I'll do the opposite type thing. But I would recommend wearing a rubber glove if you're never worked with it before and it makes you nervous, because if you get it on you, it's gonna burn. I've been using it for years. I'm comfortable with using it. I've only burned myself once, and that was early on. So yeah, I would recommend, if you've never made soap and used lye and water together, you definitely wear some protective clothing. Always do it in a well-ventilated area. Like I said, this fan's on full high. There's a window open on the other side of the house, apartment, allowing the air to flow right through here very comfortably. I don't even smell any of it, which is what you want. You don't want this stuff going in your face because the fumes themselves will knock you right out. So you don't want a big old mouthful of fumes from, lye. It would definitely knock you out and cause some problems. All right, we'll meet you back in the kitchen. All right, so we're back here in the kitchen, and I gotta get the last parts of my process ready so that when it's time to do this, because once you're ready to do this, your oil, especially if you're following this recipe, because palm kernel oil has a habit of making your soap harden up really quick when you're doing this. The saponification process kicks in really fast. You can ask Holly Wolf about that.
Alrighty, so there we got the lye. As you can see, it's sitting in the background. I stirred it for a couple more minutes. It pretty much got clear after that, and this is where we're continuing to. We're gonna mix the ingredients into the other batch of water that we're going to be adding to the soap, and then we're going to be mixing the lye into the soap. So, yeah, and like I said, do wear protective gear. Alright, so here we go with the continuing steps to luxury soap.
She was helping me with the last batch, and within seconds it hardened up and we didn't get the scent oil in there at all, really. So we're going to make sure that our oil for our lavender, for this, we're using 0.5% of the lavender oil per pound, 0.5 ounces, sorry. So for this, 0.5%, yeah, per ratio. Because of the amount we're having, we're using 1.29 ounces of the oil for our fragrance.
What I was trying to sputter out there is that you're using 0.5% by weight, the amount of scent that you're using to your oil. In this case, it comes out to 1.29 ounces because we have a total of 41.2 ounces of oils in there, and 0.5% of that would be 1.29. So I was trying to get it out there. It wasn't coming out very well. Now you know.
And we're dribbling it on the sink. If you make a little bit of a mess, I guess that's all right. Just wipe it up. We went a little bit over, but it's all right because it's the fragrance oil.
And I like lavender.
And you don't want to go over too much, but if you go over by I was over by 0.02 grams, you're fine. All right. Now, as you can see on here, I have add 2.5 teaspoons of sugar and 2 teaspoons of goat milk. That gets added to this other oil, or other water that I put aside here. So at that point, we take our golden goat's milk powder.
Don't ask me why I called it golden goat's milk. It's just goat's milk. So don't go looking for anything called golden goat's milk. It may exist. I just misspoke. It's goat's milk.
That is a tablespoon, because I get a teaspoon. Alright, well I found a half a teaspoon, which will work. I think you have a half a teaspoon work.
You had it in your hand.
I don't care, it's all good. So I'm going to use... Oh, I want the tablespoon first, okay. So I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of goat milk. So I'm just going to basically 2 level-ish tablespoons of goat milk into my water.
And obviously that was goat's milk powder, not goat's milk. But I'm sure you could tell by the watching, but just in case you're looking at the ingredients and it's, unclear, it's goat's milk powder that you're adding to it.
And it says I need 2.5 teaspoons of sugar. So I'm just going to use my half teaspoon, and I'm going to put 4 of them in there, or 5 of them in there. And that'll give me 2.5 teaspoons.
You were going to use honey.
Well, I was going to, but I forgot.
You could put honey in there too, but we forgot.
Yeah, what this basically does is the goat's milk is going to add some extra conditioning and softening for the skin. It's also a natural exfoliant, and the sugar is going to add a little bit richer lather to the soap without causing it to be harshly more cleansing. Because if it's too cleansing to create more bubbles, then it's going to strip all the oils that are naturally in your hair out, and you want to try and keep those there. And it would also cause, a little bit of a drying issue to the scalp and stuff. So you want to keep it so it's cleansing on the low side. As you can see here, the cleansing of my oil, my combination is only 13. And that's because I don't want it to strip all the oils out of my hair. I don't want it to dry out my scalp. I want it to actually condition, and I want it to also be on my body. So I want it to, again, condition my skin so that I ain't got dry skin all the time. Because I definitely battle with dry skin. So then we're going to mix those two together in there. And then I'm also using sodium lactate. Sodium lactate is, again, another type of a salt. Or not a salt. Well, it is a salt. It's a salt sugar. And what that's going to do is it's going to help harden the bar better so that it lasts longer and it doesn't get too soft and squishy in the shower when you're using it. And again, we're going to add 2.5 teaspoons of this as soon as I find where I put my teaspoon.
Right there to the right.
Oh, there it is. And as you can see, I got a big old bottle, and that's going to last a long time. Alright. So as you can see over here, the lye solution has gotten to a nice clear. We're going to take our thermometer and see what temperature we're at. Looks like we're going to probably be close to 130. Still rising. Maybe 125. Now we're going to see what our oils are at, because you want them to be about the same temperature. And since our oils are right around the 100-degree mark, it's probably going to be. We want to get our lye solution to about the same. Okay, so it looks like we might have to warm up our oils a little bit more. But I'm pretty sure our lye is going to get in there. But at this point, we're now going to mix our lye solution in with our milk and our other additives there.
Do I need to turn on the burner?
No. So we add these to this. As you can see, it's going to darken up my milk a little bit. This is part of the lye reaction with it. Not a lot you can do about that. This is why anytime you see a palm oil and a goat's milk soap, they usually have a yellowish or orangish tint to them, and it's because when you start adding the goat's milk to the lye, it tints it, and the palm oil, because it's got a red tint to it, adds to that. So this orange it's going to probably wind up an orangish color soap. Okay, so now that those are mixed, let's see what our temperature came to on there. I think we're going to wind up right around 130 degrees. So we're going to continue to cool down our lye solution till we're about 110. And then we're going to make sure our oil is at 110 as well. And then we'll be right back.
Alrighty, as you can see, what we did was we got our goat's milk, our sodium lactate, our sugar all mixed in with the lye water. It kept the temperature. It actually raised the temperature a little bit because when we mixed the saturated lye solution in with it, it actually got a little warmer as it mixed with the water. Water and lye creates heat. So as you see, it got the milk from the goat's milk went to like a darker creamy yellow, and it's actually, if you add to that just a small pink amount of hue, that's about the color the soap winds up being when it's done. So like I said, it does come out like this orangish color, but it's like a cream orange. It's not like a bright sunburst orange or nothing. It's a very mild color. You'll see it when we get to the point of cutting the bars up at the end. But you want to make sure that you do a good mixing, and you want to make sure your oils are within 5 degrees ish of each other, you know, the lye solution and the oil. If there's too much of a difference between the two, you could wind up with oil separation or other problems. So you want to get them kind of close together, and then well, you'll see, because next we're going to show you how to mix them together. So I hope you're enjoying the video so far.
Alright, so our lye solution has gotten down to about 111 degrees. Our oil is sitting right around 115 degrees. Those are close enough that it'll work. You want to try and get them as close as possible, but I'm impatient at the moment, mainly because I'm in pain. So you're going to take your lye solution and you're going to add it to your oils. And you're going to use a hand blender. Shave and a haircut. 2 bits. Okay. Alright. So this is my lye, my coconut milk mix. This is my lavender, which I'm going to have Holly Wolf add right when I'm ready. Because once this starts to saponify, it's going to happen really fast. So you're going to just sit there with your hand blender, and you're going to mix it as you add your lye. And then you're going to give it a couple little pushes of your just going to do that every once in a while until it starts getting to the consistency of like a loose pudding. If you continue to keep it, the hand blender, if you do that too much for too long, it will give you what's called a false saponification, which is where you think it's turning into a pudding texture, but it's not. It'll actually go away. And basically what you want to do is go like this until you see what's called tracing. And that's where when the soap goes across it, it leaves a trace. Boy, stupid thing keeps trying to get in there. As you can see, it's starting to get a little thicker, but that's not saponifying yet. So you just keep mixing it, and every once in a while, give it a pulse. The cooler the oil is, the longer this will take. Last time we had it at about 130 degrees, and this happened almost instantly on Holly Wolf, and she panicked. But as you can see, it is definitely starting to get thicker. It's not tracing yet, but it is thickening up, and that's the beginning of the saponification process. Give it another shot of this, and then we should be just about ready.
Now, the last time we had done this, like I said, this process happened rather quickly. We did it at 130 degrees when we mixed it, and it did what's called locking up, which is where it instantly gets stiff, and it turned into mashed potatoes, kind of. And we had to kind of smack it down into the molds and stuff, and we weren't able to get the essential oil to mix into it. This time we did it cooler, and it took longer. Plus, as you can see, my immersion blender isn't grabbing the liquid very well. It's because it's too shallow, and it's actually grabbing a lot more air than it should have. So that's why it does take a little bit longer in this video than it did in the last time we did it. I did expect it to happen a little quicker, and had I been able to get my immersion blender to actually grab into the liquid well, it probably would have happened a little quicker, but it still happens relatively quick.
Like I said, we did this a little cooler this time, so it's taking a little bit longer for the process to actually start. But it is getting close. Oh, my back. See, now you can start seeing tracing. Like I said, we did start this a little bit cooler, so it did take a little longer to get here, but we wanted to be able to pour it instead of it turning into mashed potatoes, which is what happened last time. But as you can see, now you can see it leaves little traces of the soap trace on it. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's kind of like when you're stirring pudding and you lift up the spoon and it leaves like a trail of where the pudding dripped in it. You can see where it was. That's what we're looking for. That's called trace. Now at this point, I'm going to turn on the blender again, and Missy's going to add the lavender oil, and I'm going to mix that in, and then I'm going to pour it into its molds.
Had to switch phones there.
Alright, so now that the lavender is mixed in, as you can see, now you can probably see that trace a little better. It leaves like a glop on top when you let go of it. It's still kind of got some of that pattern in there, like it's really runny mashed potatoes, or like I said, pudding. Right now, it kind of looks like butterscotch pudding. So once that's all done,
Or caramel.
or caramel. I thought butterscotch better, but we're going to take it over here. And these are my soap molds, and you just pour it in.
Whoops. Let me go grab a spatula. Oops.
And it looks like my measurements were just a bit off. So we're going to have a really full one and then a smaller batch. We'll send out the smaller batch for samples. How's that?
There you go.
So, we're going to now let these sit. We're going to cover them with a napkin or a towel, and we're going to let them sit for approximately 24 hours. And that's going to get harder. They're going to sit there and turn basically into hard chunks of soap. And tomorrow, I'll do a quick little video of unmolding them and putting them into the cutter and cutting them into bars. And then they got to sit and cure for 4 to 8 weeks, depending on how long they take to get through their saponification process and curing. And we'll start that up tomorrow again and show you where that's at.
Alrighty, so as you can see, I ran a little bit low on the amount of soap that I made. Usually I make it a double batch. I miscalculated and made it like a little over one batch. There's usually, what I should be able to do is fill both of those molds almost to the exact top of the rim and have a little bit left over, not enough to fill another one, but maybe, like a half a cup or something, which I put in something and then make just a little chunk of soap for washing extra stuff. But yeah, so next up we're gonna show you how to pop them out of the molds and to cut them into bars, and we'll be back and do that, and then yeah, we'll be able to show you what's going on. Alright, so we're going to cut the soap. It's taken out of the mold. It was a little soft this morning, so you might want to let it set at 2 days if you're following this recipe, or raise your temperature up to about 120 when you do the mixing of the lye. But then you just put it in this block. Maybe sliding it, not the best idea right now. Okay. Ooh, one lifted up. See, they are a bit soft.
Yeah.
Oh, what the hell? and then you cut them in bars, and then you're going to let those sit for 4 to 6 weeks until they completely cure. You'll know they're cured when they're hard, and you can test them with pH paper, and they have a pretty close to neutral pH. Thank you for watching the show. Alrighty, as you can tell, the bars of soap were a bit soft when they came out of the mold. That's because I lowered the temperature on when I mixed the lye and the oil together from 130 down to 1. It was about 110 on 111 on the lye, I believe, and 115 on the oil. You're going to probably want to get those both up to about 120, 125. Just beware, the higher temperature you go with the palm oil, when the saponification process starts, if it's too high, the soap will turn into mashed potatoes. If you're not putting any essential oil in for scent, that's fine. You can put it into the mold at that point and tap it down, and it'll come out as a full bar when it's done. If you are trying to add oil at that point, I would definitely be having somebody standing by at the ready to put the oil in as soon as it starts to saponify, because at 130 degrees it does quickly turn into, like I said, mashed potatoes. And once it reaches that point, it will not incorporate any new oil. So you're going to have to get it in there just as it starts. But as you've seen, the bars came out. They are a little bit softer. They're going to take probably a little bit longer to cure because the temperature was a little bit lower. They did have a problem sticking to the blade again because they're soft. But they are soap and they are working, and everything should be fine with them once they fully cure. I hope you enjoyed. And also, you're going to want to make sure that when you're testing the pH of the soap, anywhere under 10, between 8 and 10 is where you're aiming for. Anywhere under 10 is safe. The video, and thanks for coming out and watching.